start today. Just driven to my local woodland and we're going on a shoot. So we're out today in my local woods. I grew up about 5 minutes from here and my school is actually based just outside the woods on the other side. Come out nice and early, well, nice and early for winter. It's about 8 o'clock and the sun's just rising and I'm on a commercial shoot. So not only am I shooting locally where there's not as many photogenic nice places, I'm also shooting entirely on my own. So I've got the tripod and we're gonna have to go old school with it and do some self-timers and see how we get on. So I'm shooting today for Lululemon. We're doing a campaign about what got you through lockdown and how, ooh, the sun popping through. We're doing a campaign about lockdown and what kept you going through that time. And for me, that was running. So I've come out to my local woods to do a running shoot. What's a little different from usual shoots is we're only really looking for a couple of shots here. So the fact that I'm shooting on my own isn't too difficult. I'm just gonna have to set the tripod up, work on self-timer or time lapses and try and just get a couple of shots that are gonna work. A lot of the trees in this direction are quite bare, but behind me here, there's quite heavily planted tall pine trees. So I'm hoping we're gonna get some nice vertical lines and hopefully get some good shots. So I'm gonna head in now. It's a lot darker than I thought it was gonna be. So it's still a little darker than I think it probably needs to be to shoot. Because I'm running, I'm gonna need a little bit of dynamic movement and we're gonna need quite a fast shutter for that. So we're gonna have a quick drink. I'm gonna start scoping for angles. I'm hoping we can get some nice lines looking down through trees and maybe some good framing. So I'm gonna have a drink and see if we can get any compositions lined up. So whilst I'm waiting for the sun to come up a little bit more, I'm just walking around looking for any nice long straight lines through the trees and hopefully somewhere where the light's gonna hit a bit of ground. So I think I'm gonna probably shoot on the 85 if I can do, because it's gonna give some nice compression and also it's a really sharp lens. I'm gonna try and use a shallow depth of field, one because it's quite dark, but also to give a bit of depth to the image. So I've got the camera out now, just so I can try and line up some shots. Sometimes when you're in somewhere like this, the composition isn't gonna be as striking or standing out at you as much as if you're in like a grander, more landscape location. So I'm gonna hold the camera up, move around, see if we can find anything that lines up nice. Found one angle down between these trees. So to save myself some photoshopping, I'm just going to go along and drag them out of the way and then set the tripod and have a quick go. So I just got changed. Usually when I'm working on shoots that feature products, I tend to wear overclothes or bring a change of clothes with me, because the last thing you want is to turn up on shoot and find out you've got the muddy or you've damaged them on the way in. So I had all this in my bag, just got changed. I've got on some Lululemon running leggings, some shorts and a base layer top. So I'll just get the panoramic shot now as a setup, and then I'll take one of me that we can put together in a panorama later on Lightroom. I just found my focus. So now I've got that done, I'm going to set up this for time lapse. So I'm going to go run through the frame just down between those trees there and we'll see how it turns out. So I focused on this leaf down here, so you know that's the sharp point. The camera's over there. So I'm just going to run back and forth a few times, try and time it right. So I think the interval function isn't going to be quite right for this, because you can only set the intervalometer to take one photo every second. The chances of me being in the right position just aren't really high enough. So I'm going to switch over and use my phone, and then I can set that to on continuous shutter, so it'll be taking loads more photos than the intervalometer will. So now we can see what the camera's seeing. I can adjust my settings in here, and then when I'm ready, I can slide that across, and the camera's going to start taking hundreds of photos. It's quite dark in here, which I did foresee happening. What I'm going to do is boost the ISO and the shutter speed on the camera. Because I've got that panorama before that is taking on the slower shutter speed, I feel I can do this, and then I'll be able to just put in me. Even if there's a bit of noise there, I'm hoping it's more manageable than if I was shooting the entire thing at a higher ISO. Let's run back and see what we got. Where the hell did I put my phone? It's worked quite well, got some nice shots in there. I'll then just try a few alternate ideas. I want to try and do 1 or 2 shots of me stretching and just limbering up. It might be quite nice to go in the story part of the campaign, and then I might try to do a more dynamic one, me potentially jumping over something. So I've just changed to 24mm. I'm going to try a few wider shots to try and get a bit more of the trees, more of the landscape. So I'm just going to move the tripod a little and then try again. Every time I finish, I come chuck the big coat back on because it's really chilly today. And whilst these clothes feel great for actually doing exercise and moving around, I'm not actually running too much at the moment, so I am getting quite cold. I've just done a few little shots of me leaning over here on a tree and stretching, which I think look really good, so they might be nice for some supporting content. I'm just going to try and get a more dynamic shot of me jumping over this. So same as before, I'm on the 85. I'm going to do a pano and then I'll frame it on me to insert in later on. So cleared some of the burnt logs and debris out, and I've put these 2 bits of brick I found just to act as a little bit of a kicker, so I can get a little more height over the log to try and give myself quite a nice silhouetted profile coming over. So I'll get a few of those now. So the sun has come up now, and whilst it's getting lighter in here, it's still really cold. So I've almost wrapped up everything I need to shoot. Quite happy with the content. I'm just going to do the video part of the campaign, which involves me talking to the camera a little bit and just sharing what kept me going through 2020 and through lockdown, which was running. I did run a hell of a lot. It was something I felt that I had progression in, and I was enjoying seeing development and movement in some aspects of my life. I also did notice on the days when I didn't run, I might feel like I was a little bit more down or a little bit less motivated. And even though it was sometimes a challenge to get out and go and run, I always felt better when I got back. I know everyone says that exercise releases dopamine and it does make you feel better and happier, and genuinely it's true. You do feel better after you've exercised, and you do feel more energized, more satisfied, and feel like you've accomplished something. So I'm just going to get those last few little video clips, and then my mum is meeting me in the woods because she's walking the dog, so we're going to have a little stroll, and then I'll head home and import, edit, see how it worked out. So, just finished running around, shooting a bit of video. I'm feeling quite happy with everything we've done. My mum's gonna come and join me in about 10 minutes for a dog walk. So I'm gonna put my clothes back on and then I'll walk back out that way to go meet her. I always forget just how long everything takes when it's just you on your own. setting up a tripod, setting up the self timer or continual shooting and trying to get content on your own, it takes so much longer. It's about 20 to 11 now and I've been here for almost 2.5 hours. Such a long period of time for the amount of shots you come out with. Pretty happy with how everything's turned out though. Obviously haven't imported, but I've had a quick flick through on the back of the camera, making sure stuff's sharp, making sure I've got the right angles, and everything's looking pretty good. So I'm just gonna meet Mum now somewhere in the woods and go for a quick dog walk, and then I'll head home, have some lunch and get importing. I've just realised that yesterday I put a protein bar in my camera bag so that when I was out I'd have some food. But I've not eaten yet, so I'm very, very happy that I've just realised that I'd completely forgotten about it. I know protein bars are chewy at the best of times, but when it's been sat in a cold bag somewhere around 0 degrees, this is rock hard. Hello. There's so many photos from this morning. In total, there's 2,500 shots. Now this is mainly because I was shooting on continuous shutter, so it's firing all those times. And as you probably saw earlier, there's a very small section where we're actually getting the shot. So you might have 60 images of me setting up the camera, getting into position, 1 or 2 of me in the right place, and then another 60 after that. So I'm going to do something I don't usually do, which is go through, cull and delete images from my Lightroom. Usually I like to keep everything just so I can always revisit. You never know what you're going to find on a second pass through or third pass through, so I don't usually delete stuff, but in this instance it is the most sensible thing. So I've just been through and culled all the images that make no sense at all and don't need to be in here. I've deleted them off the hard drive so I've cleared some extra space. Then been through and done a first batch of checking for sharpness and positioning. So anything that was sharp and might work, I've given a 1 star. Anything that's out of focus or too much motion blur, it stayed on 0. I've then filtered those again and then gone through checking for the best ones of those, giving them 2 and then a 3-star rating. So I've now got to the stage where I've got a couple of images that we want to work with. I'm not going to go through all the editing stages and everything like that, because I'm aware this might already be quite a long video and we haven't really got time to sit and watch me edit for ages. So what I'll do instead is show an example of the panoramic image and then the shot of me I've selected to put into that. So this is for the image of me jumping over the log. Remember I took a panoramic image. So with the camera on the tripod, I shot a very wide image and then I've stitched those together in Lightroom, which gives me this as the result. You can see I've got a much bigger image with a lot of compression and it's really nice and sharp on the area I want it to be. This is then one of the images from the continuous shooting where I'm jumping over the log in a good position. So we've got the image shot on the 85 here and then we've got a panorama of 85mm images stitched together. And what I'm going to do now is open both of these in Photoshop and then I'm going to use the auto align feature to put me on top in the right position. And then with a little bit of masking, I'll be able to get myself in that image. So I've been through using Photoshop to auto align and mask, I've put myself into that image, which is what we see here. You can see how I've been able to put myself into that panorama we made earlier, which enabled me to get a low noise image for the panorama, and then I had to use a little bit extra ISO to get me nice and sharp, but stitched together it works really well. There's still a little bit of cleaning and some extra little tweaks I'd do to this, but I thought I'd just show it you at this stage just to give you an idea of what it looks like. I'm not going to show many more images from the shoot, but I will just show a couple of images that might be of interest. So this is one of the images that I didn't record me shooting, and for this I used the intervalometer because I wasn't going to need to have as many shots as the dynamic running shots. I've got quite a few of these and just went through till I found one that I thought looked the best and then edited it up in a similar style to the others. This is going to make quite a nice supporting image to go with the stories and along with the post. So I said earlier on that we're not actually looking for many images in this shoot, just a handful of images to post on Instagram, one of which will be used in feed as a single image, which is this one just here. So again, this was one of the big panorama images where I shot with a slow shutter speed and low ISO to make sure there's not as much noise in there. I then used the continuous shutter to get myself a little bit sharper but with a bit more noise. Then used Lightroom 6 to panorama and then Photoshop to help me auto align and mask myself into position. And then I've done a little bit of cropping, a little bit of tidying just to neaten everything up. It was in this shot where there would have been some logs lying across that I dragged out of the way just to save myself that process later on. So I just wanted to quickly touch on the editing and the after shoot process for this. I didn't want to go into too much detail because I thought that might drag on a little bit, but there's a little insight into how we've gone after we've got home from the shoot. If you want to check out the finals, you can go onto my Instagram where it'll be live. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and I will see you next time.